Everyone's JackelWolf back in the garden again for another episode of the Great Green North. This is my weekly vlog going over the happenings in my garden. This is the week of July 15th. Not much to do, a little bit of harvest to do. We'll see that right at the end, but let's take a little poke and see how things are going. Starting again with the potatoes, this is the second set that I planted. They're a little bit behind the ones further down. They are doing really good. They're getting ready to flower, which is a good sign. So they are definitely far enough along. I'll be getting some potatoes out of these guys. Onions look to be doing really good. There are a couple here on the edge that are starting to fall over, which is usually a sign that they are getting to the end of their growing, and then I'll be have to harvest them pretty soon. Because they're just on the edge here, I'm going to leave them a little bit longer. Usually you want to wait until about half have fallen over. That's a good sign that they are ready, because not everyone will, but you don't want to leave them in the ground for too long, or else they'll start rotting in there, and that's definitely not something that we want. Peas and beans are doing really well. I should be getting some beans fairly shortly. I've been eating the peas on and off. They are very tasty. These are the pod peas, so I can eat them as is. I will be picking a couple on here to leave for seed. There's a couple nice ones in there. I had a bunch for dinner last night. I'll usually grab a handful on my way to work in the morning, just for a little quick snack once I get to work. Beans, I should be getting some pretty soon. You can see there's a little guy right there. And all these flowers here are going to be turning into beans really shortly. Not many yet. Depending on how many I get between the two spots, I might freeze a bunch. Same things with the peas. It takes a little bit of a blanch, which is just dropping them in some hot water for a couple of minutes and pulling them out, and then immediately freezing them as soon as possible. But I may, depending on how much I've got, I may do that again this year. There is a little dragonfly just sitting on the edge of that leaf. I like dragonflies in my garden. They eat a lot of mosquitoes. So I always enjoy seeing them, that's for sure. Onion sets for next year. I did do a little bit of a weed, not much. Obviously there's still a bunch in there. I'm trying to get to the ones I can. I'm not too concerned about these guys getting crowded out. I do want them to be small when I transplant them. Less chance of them bolting next year. At least that's the theories that I've read when I've done my research. Now I haven't shown these guys off too much. This is my mint over here. I've got two different types of mint, as well as my basil and my thyme. Main set of potatoes are looking really good. Flowers are really coming out on them. Probably in a couple, maybe next week or the week after, we'll probably actually see some of the little potato fruit. Now these are non-edible, but they do contain seeds. I think I've talked about it before, that if you were to plant those seeds, the potatoes you get is actually a different variety than what the parent plant is. There's something special about it, but it is very easy to get very unique potatoes, which is one of the reasons why farmers generally plant actual potatoes, seed potatoes, what they're called, rather than potato seeds. That way they know that they're getting the exact same potatoes that they want to sell. Onions are doing good. I'm still not 100% sure these are the same onions I thought. Like, I did have some of these Egyptian walking onions in the garden in the past, but I thought I'd lost those ones a couple of years ago. So I got to do a little bit more research on this, but I am looking forward to harvesting these. Once the stalks start drying out, I can harvest them up, let them dry a bit if it's not quite ready to transplant, or I can transplant them right into my garden, and they'll be like these sets that I'm growing up over here. This actually might be an easier way of doing it, but we'll see how many of these ones bolt next year, and we'll have to do a little bit of an experiment to see what way is going to work the best for us. Carrots are coming along. I am a little concerned. I don't think I've been as diligent about weeding it as I could have. I did get in here a little bit yesterday. It was very, very windy, so I didn't record, but I did do not an easy weed. I did a simple weed. I basically got rid of all the weeds in here that were flowering. As far as the grass goes, it may be a little tough to get it out, but any one of these ones here like that, I've got a head, I want to pull those because I do not want them making seeds. But the way the grass roots work, I'll probably end up damaging my carrots by trying to pull up the grass at this point. It is why I tried to keep it really weeded at the beginning. Garlic and onions are doing good. You can see that some of the onion leaves are starting to yellow. This is a sign that they are getting ready for harvest. I'm not worried about this. This is exactly what I expected, exactly what I want. I may, if I've got a chance next weekend, pull them, but they might have to stay in the ground until I get back from my BC trip at the end of August. Now these are peas that I am leaving to get full pods. You can see that one there is almost done. I want to pull them when there's a little spider guy on there. Hello, little spider. I don't know if that's going to focus on you or not. I always like seeing a lot of these guys. Like, bugs are generally not pests. There are a couple that are, but biodiversity in the garden, right? For every pest, there's going to be a predator, and the more I encourage the predators, they'll be taking care of those pests pretty good. So, cabbage, I think, is doing pretty good. I gave it a very, very good watering yesterday, as well as a little bit of fertilizer. I've got some blood and I got some bone meal granular fertilizers that I use around my garden. So I gave these ones. I don't know if that crow's going to show up on the audio or not, but I'm hoping these guys are turning out pretty good. I got to make sure that I keep them watered. They are very, very heavy water feeders. Back in the greenhouse, hopefully the fan is not too loud. I've got him on a timer. He turns on for most of the day just to keep the airflow moving in the greenhouse. As you can see, the tomato plants are doing really, really well. There are a lot of flowers on here. I got to come in here every day, give those plants a shake just to encourage them to drop their pollen, though for the most part they are going to do that on their own. But they're doing really, really good. I do not see any set yet, but there are quite a few of the actual flowers are open. So probably by next weekend we'll probably have a couple that we can show off. Same thing over here. These guys are doing very, very well. I'm really, really looking forward to seeing these. These were the paste tomatoes. These were the paste tomatoes, which I can use for sauces. These guys over here were the cutting potatoes, which you can use for sandwiches and stuff like that. You can use them for sauce as well. It's just they generally contain a little bit more water, so it's a lot more work to process them down. Whereas paste potatoes or sauce potatoes generally contain more meat than water, so you don't have to spend as much time, boiling them to get rid of that excess water. Rosemary is doing really, really good. I've mentioned it before. I don't want to give them too much water, but you can see they are growing. They are getting a lot thicker and bigger. I'm quite happy about that. I'm probably going to start harvesting some. I will I'll put most of my rosemary harvest just directly right into a jar, into the freezer. It will keep for quite a long time. Peppers are doing pretty good. The jalapenos, you can actually see, let me see if I can hoping that is on that one. There are a few in here that are looking really, really good. You can see the dried off petals where the peppers kind of pushed the petals away. A little bit of a tongue twister there. I've got quite a few more flowers on here. Quite a few more that haven't even opened up yet. So I'm going to give this guy a little shake as well. Okay, so last but not least, it is the raspberries and strawberries, and as you can see, I've got an absolute ton. I have picked some, just a little bit, just to, have a little snack here and there, but I kind of was leaving a bunch for today, for this vlog, so I can just do a quick little, harvest showcase on them. Pull a bunch off. Depending how many I get, I usually tend to get more than I expect, because there's a lot hidden in there that I only discover as I go do a little bit of a poke in there. So I'm just gonna put this on camera. I think I've got to find a nice little angle for it though. As you can see, this one here has gotten more than a little bit of damage on it. If it was just a little bit, I might just cut off that damaged bit and make sure that was one of the ones that got mushed up or something, or used right away. But because the damage is so great on it, this one's just going to go into my compost. So you will see me make a toss at my compost every now and again as I find ones that are just not good enough for the table. So. Okay guys, so that is it for this little harvest. There is still quite a bit of pink on the bushes there. Those ones there aren't quite ripe. You can generally tell if you the raspberries should come off with just the slightest little tug. They should just pretty much just slide off their little, not too sure what it's called, but that little stem bit, and they should just come right out. At least that's how I tell if they're ripe. I could probably pick them when they're maybe not ripe. I don't know if they ripen off the vine, but I always if they don't come with a slight tug, I leave them on. A couple more days, they'll be ready to go for sure. So that is our very, very first harvest. Quite a few strawberries, a bunch of raspberries. As you can tell, at least with the raspberries, we have got a ton more coming. There's still quite a few more strawberries. A couple big ones as well. A lot of them after this point are going to get smaller and smaller. I think even the same thing with the raspberries. It's always the first ones that generally tend to be the biggest. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed my little garden poke and fruit harvest. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at JackelWolf, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye! All right.
Yeah, also, let me show you to the staff room.
What's this sign over here? What's this particular sign?
Oh, yeah,
here?
It's the employee of the month.
Oh, that's the employee of the month. Who was the employee of the month this month?
John.
John the bunny was the employee of the month?
Yep, John the bunny.
He was the employee of the month.